in-depth race recaps.
He's shown speed, he's shown dominance at other racetracks.
Pit stops and strategy.
Hell yeah, boys. Let's go. Race strategy, man.
Fantasy racing insights.
Talking about being a team in the summer. We did it. Good job, boys.
Your weekly home for everything Ryan Blaney and Team 12.
Good job, Timmy. Here's to many more, fellas. Thank you.
This is the Team Blaney podcast.
Let's go race for a championship.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 211 of the Team Blaney podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. This week, we are here to break down Ryan Blaney's run in the NASCAR Cup Series championship race at Phoenix Raceway. Steve, welcome back to our final race recap episode of the 2025 season. And I don't know if I should say I'm surprised, but I did not expect us to be ending the year on such a high note with the victory by Ryan Blaney and the 12 team in the championship race, but not for the championship, but still quite exciting nonetheless.
I'm already pouring the victory celebration. Let's get started. 10 runners on and ready to go. I got to finish the bottle before the off season. I got to buy another bottle before Christmas, I think. Get it going, but I didn't drink it as much as I thought I would over the weekend. It ended up being a really great weekend for the team, for everybody, Team 12, and they executed all day Saturday Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's another thing. I was thrown off Friday afternoon. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Practice is Friday afternoon now. And practice, you would say about winning practice, but it was a lot of fun to see all the statistics from practice. And then Saturday went pretty well till the last 2 or 3 guys went out. So it lined up everything for Sunday, and then they executed Sunday, all the different things that they could throw at you, and they executed, and that was the best part.
So this was the last championship weekend at Phoenix, at least for a little while. We know, and we're not going to get in depth in this because literally everybody is, but format's changing next year, but the venue for the last race is changing back to Homestead Miami Speedway, at least for a year or two. But we did get to see some interesting races between the Craftsman Truck Series race, the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Truck Series race had all kinds of drama, had a late restart with a 4-tire call by the person that did eventually win the race in Corey Heim, but it actually turned into kind of an iconic moment in like a 7-wide finish there. And I know for us, we definitely felt bad for the Ford truck out there in Lane Riggs that had a chance to win that race.
Win the owner's title.
Stayed green, could have won the race, won the owner's championship, and our friend, former spotter Josh Williams, could have had another championship on his resume. So, what did you think about that truck race and that truck finish?
Well, I'm listening to the 34 spotter, and I'm very partial to him. But he pointed out something that was kind of there, and some people online afterward were pointing it out, that there may have been a little bit of like ask for forgiveness and not for permission going on there at the end. And that's part of why I guess it made it 7 wide, and part of why he was able to pull off what he did. But you know what? At that moment, that's what you do. And it's the same thing I thought about on Sunday was going to happen. And somebody had said that it's harder to do in the Cup car than it is the Truck Series. But he did. He buried it down in there and turn 7 wide, the nice picture, and he pulled it off. So you got to give him credit for that.
And then we moved on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race where I guess the nightmare scenario for anybody that loved the playoff format and the one-race format happens, where Connor Zilisch, 10-race winner on the season, if it was by the points we don't really care about, the full season points, I think he was up like 200 points or something to win the championship, fades late in that race, gets passed by Jesse Love, who hadn't won since the opening race of the year, stayed consistent all year long, brought a really fantastic car, really well-prepared car for Richard Childress Racing, and Jesse Love wins the championship over his best friend, Connor Zilisch. So lots of people were pretty upset with the outcome there and already looking forward to next year if there are any changes.
One thing about that is, he had how many wins on the year? 10, right? And was it 5 or 6 of them were road courses?
Yeah, we're kind of joking a little bit that he had like 3.5 wins on ovals because one of them he started the race.
Started the race in Daytona and Parker Klinger finished it. And then he wins, I think, Dover, Gateway,
Pocono.
And what was the third one?
Pocono was another one.
Pocono was the third one. So, or no, Indianapolis was in there too.
In Indianapolis, yeah.
Indianapolis. So he won on a rectangle. He won on a triangle, right? So then his two actual like oval wins were concrete, type things. So it really is kind of jumbled. That, mind you, in the Xfinity Series, the best guys only have to beat about 8 or 10 guys each week also. And he did do that. So we got to give him a lot of credit for what he did there. But on the other hand, it came down to executing and having the car, and there were some things that weren't necessarily the fastest car on the night. And he kind of knew that. I listened to his in-car audio, Josh, and you could tell in his tone after a while that he knew he couldn't get the car much better than they had it. And because of that, they weren't able to compete the way he would want to compete. So it might not really be based on his talent or skill. It might just be that the car that night wasn't what he needed it to be. And, that's part of this one race format thing that's going away, obviously. So, what are you going to do?
And it looked like for a little bit toward the end of that race that it was actually going to be his own teammate Justin Allgaier that would beat him. But he had a little bit of a slow pit stop right at the end there that put him deep into traffic, and that kind of set everything up for Jesse Love to come through and pass for the win eventually there. So Junior Motorsports for the second time in the last few years goes in with 3 out of the 4 cars and does not come out with the championship. So again, kudos to Jesse Love. This was the format they had. They played to the format. They raced to the format, and he picked up another championship for RCR.
And kudos to Dale Jr. on the post-race interview on it too. These guys he's a very honest person, and he could be very sour grapes if he wanted to be, and he wasn't. And he was very congratulatory to the champ. And, it's kind of some cool things that maybe you don't think about, but like even on Sunday, what we see and experience there, guys in their post-race interviews do a very good job of, giving you a little bit of emotion, but also being realistic and complimentary to each other. So it was really kind of a cool thing to see.
Then that brings us to Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series championship race, where I would say the championship 4 there was probably the most balanced, definitely out of the top 3 series. There was any of those 4 guys, if they were to win the championship, I said they all had deserving resumes. They all led. We'll talk about some statistical categories for the Cup Series overall a little bit later after our recap. They all led categories through that. They all had multiple wins. I think they would have been very deserving regardless of who ends up winning the race. But race-wise, this really surprises me. And I think it just has more to do with, again, I said I wasn't going to talk about the format, about who won, who didn't win. But the Jeff Gluck poll was like super low this morning. I haven't even checked back at it. But I thought if you just stand back, 30,000-foot view of the racing and the race and the drama and the excitement. I mean, I thought it was one of the best Phoenix races in a long time. What
a close finish, right?
Exactly.
Everybody's forgetting about that part, which is another thing. I mean, I don't want to talk about it now or talk about it afterward, but I'm going to bring up a name from 2 years ago, and what an idiot. Okay. And that's Ross Chastain, right? Ross Chastain wins the race 2 years ago, and he is more or less like, F everybody else, I'm the winner, and watch the difference of what a true champion does this weekend or what happened yesterday, right? Ryan, he wins the race. He knows he wins the race. He's excited about it, don't be wrong. But does he overshadow the moment that somebody else is having, that the championship, that what it comes down to? No. He, as a matter of fact, avoids because Tim tells him over the radio after he won that he can go to the restart zone, and he does not do that. And this is part of why the interview doesn't happen until later on, mind you, too, because I think they may have had it ready to do an on-track interview over there while they've set up for the champion, and they did not do any of that because he went past it. And the little sound clip you may play later on about the flag was him telling NASCAR more or less that he was going to go over and get the flag. That's it. That's all it was, is I'm going to go over there and I'm letting you guys know that's why I'm going over there. So I'm not in the way of anybody else, not in the way of the champion, not in the way of Kyle Larson winning a championship and his celebration. So it was very, very, to me, well handled. And that's the way it kind of should be. If you win the race and the championship is decided behind you.
So let's dive into our race recap from this race, because there's lots of fun stuff to talk about when it comes to what went on throughout the day there and how
Mhm.
things unfolded to the end. I'm sure we'll each have opinions on the different pit calls and things that were made
Yeah.
and who did what, and the tires. We'll have a whole discussion about the tires, I'm sure. And
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it. So let's kick things off on a Friday, like
Friday.
you said, a Friday afternoon practice.
Yeah, 5 laps in, P3 with a single lap, and it's like, oh, okay, here we are, back to Phoenix. Then the ninth, this gets wild. The 19 has a tire issue with the left rear. There's a red flag. The 16 has a front tire issue. Ryan goes back out, runs 4 laps, comes back in. There's a tire down on the 20. The 99 has a left rear. Another red flag because of it. So this is a longer. Everybody's on track at the same time. It's like a 50-minute session, extra sets of tires, and they're using them obviously. Fast lap 20 minutes in is P2, P3. The 2 is the top guy actually, which is once again promising. You got your teammate up there. 30 minutes in, Ryan comes back out. 35 left rear goes down. Ryan comes back in after they're about lap 15. The 16 crashes hard in 3 and 4. That looked like an issue that was just somebody did something not something wasn't connected properly on the car, because that looked like a brake issue of some sort. 32 minutes in, we come back out, and they're planning about a 20-minute run here. And this is fresh tires too, mind you. P1. Passing guys, including the 11 car at this point. Well, he's got fresh tires. Now the 5-lap, 10-lap averages, P1, P2 on the 15 lap. He brings it in after 36 total laps. The 8 car then has an issue with left rear. 10 minutes left, comes back out. The 54 jumps to P1 for a single lap, barely ahead of Ryan. And then Ryan, and the 20-lap average is P1. We know how that goes, right? Come race time. And then I got the championship guys here. Their single laps were P5, P9, P11, P16, which kind of reminded me of what Ryan looked like going into the championship a couple times, right? We're worried about long run speed and not the short run. 99 loses another left rear. I mean, just craziness. And it was like, boy, I hope they get through qualifying on Saturday without somebody crashing,
And I know it was talked about a lot, but if anybody wasn't paying attention, and I did see several that immediately you'll look on social media and you hear everybody complaining about Goodyear. The teams, the 19 you brought up was slow in practice, lost multiple tires. 19 crew chief right after practice said, nope, this is us.
That's us.
The speed that they can gain out of starting on low air pressures is so important, or is so much. It totally can change the way a car drives. That they will go up and over the edge, essentially, on these air pressures. And we saw it. We've seen it with the 12 at Las Vegas for a few years in a row here. And that's the first thing you'll hear. Oh, can't believe Goodyear is bringing a crappy tire to the track. No. They are absolutely pushing it. This is not a track that we would normally see something like this with. And yes, they were dealing with a new tire compound for this race, but it feel like a broken record this year. Anytime this happens, that it's on the teams. The teams know what they're doing. They know what the risks are. In some cases, they're willing to do it. And we even see it continue to happen in the race. And I can understand it on the guys that are up there and have opportunities to win. I didn't necessarily understand it for the guys that were kind of mid-pack and back that were kind of pushing it and destroying cars in the aftermath of losing tires. But man, just to make it clear again, it's not Goodyear. Teams ask for a tire like this, and then they're just pushing the limits.
I expected teammates that are not in the championship. Maybe the 9 car experiments with something for them. Like the 35 had an issue. They're experimenting for the other teams. I can see that. But, when your actual team is having that issue, you went a little too far, I think, So Saturday qualifying was kind of cool because they were going out 5th to last, right? They were going to be the last guy of the non-playoff guys going out with the finish the prior week. And when he went out, he got to P2 behind the 2. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to be in the front. It just kind of depends on how the next 4 guys go. But actually, the next 4 guys, 3 of them end up passing him. So Ryan's going to start 5th overall. Denny with the pole. Pretty excited. That was a lot of emotion out of Denny when he won that pole. Was kind of cool to see in a way because he's kind of robotic sometimes. We just watched his in-car camera at the end of the race, and it was so robotic it wasn't even funny. Everything that was going on, and he didn't say a darn word. Usually, I would have thought like there might have been an F-bomb or something there. Especially the in-car cameras are kind of interesting because if they don't key the mic, you can still kind of hear some things sometimes if they're said loud enough. Like at one point, Ryan afterwards is on pit road. He shuts the car off, and you can definitely hear him. He goes, "Where do I go?"
Yep.
I don't know where to go.
What do you think? So Ryan's obviously 3 straight years have had, great finishes at Phoenix. Last 2 years he's been in the championship 4, not this year though, and has always qualified like 12th or back 12th, 14th, 12th to 15th, somewhere back there. Not in the championship 4 this year. Qualifies in the top 5, and I was like, come on.
And then in practice showed the long range, long run speed too. So that was this thing stays green. Look out, And there were different points in the race where it did go like that. So, we get to Sunday with stages of 60, 185, 312, 8 sets of tires. Fuel window says 94 to 104, but we never get that far. To the rear of the 16 and pit stall 10, which was on the bend in between turns 1 and 2. Opening in front of him, which is really good. And it was the 4 behind him. So we never see the 4 all day in the way. Some super pit stops all day long, as we're going to talk about here. Performance by the guys. Roger on the radio early on, and Ryan said something about trying to get you a win today, and then they're talking about you texted me too about some communication between the 77 because they rode in they may have rode in the truck together or something, and they were talking about the start.
I assumed it was like a pre-race thing. I was like, oh, maybe it's a driver intro stage or something like that. But Ryan comes over the radio and says, "Hey, I talked to the 77. We both agreed to stay on the track
until the 21." Yeah, and what's funny about that is, and what's funny about that is with the start of the race, none of them, neither of them, they ditched those plans right away. So, so on that initial start, and by lap 4, he got engulfed on this initial start, and the 4 and the 48 on the outside were P8, lap 15 P8, and like 5 seconds back of the leader, the 11, but only 4/10 back of 7th place, the 48, and the initial lap times, identical the next 4 in front of him at this point. So early on in the run, everybody's about the same lap time, but what happens is we get 20, 30 laps in, it changes big time. Lap 20, the 2 is P3, and the 21 is P6. And then we've got Ryan in P8, and Joey is P9. So all 4, 3 in the associated team are all in the top 10. So Jordan Bianchi, Penske's really not as bad as you think they are. As a matter of fact, that they're finishing this race, they're all near the top 10 too. So
and they showed the speed in practice too across the board.
So I think Jordan needs to slow the brakes on that a little bit. I need to talk to him this offseason, maybe talk him down off that ledge. So lap 22 here, passing the 21 to get the 7th. At lap 28, passing the 48 to get the 6th. Fastest car on the track. Here we go. But 6.43 back of the 11. So he's actually closed the gap on the 11 a little bit too. But he's 2.1 back of P5, which is the 77 at this point. So you would think, well, is he going to get to anybody? Maybe somebody has to fall off a cliff. But he talks about being tight or a little like a number here. And at lap 35 here, all of a sudden he's like 1.5 back of the 77, and about 6 seconds back at the 11. Faster than the top 5 by at least a 10th. So if he consistently does that, he knocks, and he just, lap 40, 4/10 back of the 77 now, and 4.89 back of the P1. The lap 42 passes the 77 to fifth. The lap 45, 1.3 back of fourth place, which is now the 5 car. And he does race these guys very cleanly all day. It's probably part of why he didn't stick the nose in there and cause an issue here and there on restarts and whatnot. So he is running up to the 5 now. He's 3.558 back of the 11, who's first. At lap 50 here, we passed the 5 to get to fourth, and now we're only 1.955 back of P1, which is the 11, and 0.9 back of P3, which is the 2.
He's an absolute rocket. It was insane the way it was just the gap was closing so quickly.
Yep.
And all I could think about was and things work out great in the end. But at this point, I'm like, if they could just keep it together late in stage 3 and he gets a green flag run like this, I'm like, he could win this race by like 8 seconds.
Yep. Just pick it off and then gap everybody. The lap 53 here, the 24 actually took the lead in some traffic. And at lap 55, we passed the 2 to get to third. We're 1.33 back of the 24 and only 0.2 back of second place, the 11. At lap 58, we passed the 11. We're P2 now at the end of the stage here. 24 winning the stage, Ryan P2. Roger gets on the radio, chats with Ryan for a second, tell him what a good job. Just kind of encouragement. We're pitting from P2 here. 4-tire stop, by the way, TV. These people, TV is just horrible. And I'm watching the Max in-car camera thing too. And they've got a ticker down the side, and it's just going to get a little pet peeve here for a second. Okay. On your ticker on the screen, please do not put what manufacturer. We don't care what manufacturer. I need 2 things. I need to see the gap to the car in front of me, like they do on the F1 broadcasts. And I need to see a lap time once in a while. So I know, he's running faster laps than the other guy. Is it because of traffic or is it because he's faster? That's all I need. These stupid things that they put on there, showing you the emblem. And if we don't know what manufacturer they are at this point, I don't really care. I need to know the gap to the car in front of me more than anything else. The F1 broadcasts do it perfectly every time. And the F1 broadcasts, they're way spread out, so they really have to do it. But can you imagine if every lap you knew that, okay, well, we were 4/10 back, now we're 2/10 back. Or we were 2 seconds back, now we're 1.5 seconds back of the guy in front of us. Not having to do any math, just anyway, that's just, but then they get this 2-tire stop thing wrong all the time too. It's almost like, well, Ryan gained a spot or 2, so he must have cheated or something, took 2 tires. It was a 9.660 stop here. And Jonathan mentioned something about choice of bourbon was really good if that made sense. So I don't know what they were talking about with fuel. I mean, usually with bourbon, that's what they're talking about. Fuel in this situation is, like I said, on the race doesn't really end up mattering. I don't think later on it would matter because tires have to come before any kind of fuel stop. Ryan talks about cutting the dog leg on the start because everyone's doing it. We're going to have to kind of get into the mode if we're in that lane to go head down there. Restart lap 70 here. We're clear by turn 2. The 11 is P2. And, the 24 is P3. The 5 is P4 and the 19 is P7. So there's the championship guys behind us. And it's kind of funny because on Friday's broadcast of practice, Dale Jarrett said it. He said, this weekend, this race, the champion could finish 3rd or 4th. Somebody else could win the race. So I think he kind of knew and was kind of like throwing that out there so people would know. And he ends up being right in the long run. Lap 73 to caution for the 42 here. Jonathan said the first set of tires looked really good. There was no cording or anything like that. So that's awesome to know on a 50-lap run. Jonathan's staying out here. We choose the in-start. Starting at lap 80 here, middle of 3 right off the bat. The 11, the 5, the 24 pass. We're into P4 here. Lap 81, the 77 passes. P5.
I have to say, I wasn't worried because actually that previous run, like when he fired off like really well and got to the lead and kept it, I said immediately, I was like, I think he should let these guys pass him, and save his stuff again, and then pass him back by the end of the stage. So, unfortunately, the caution made that decision for him, and then it's a note for later And, Ryan, even statistically on restarts over the season, has not been good.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say it's like self-preservation. Like guys get crazy, especially at Phoenix, going to that dog leg and 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever. And he's just trying to not get crashed and live to fight, another restart. But you'll see this day. It kind of went back and forth. There were some restarts where he was great and some where he just kind of gets swallowed up on. And then later on, he mentions about feeling like underpowered a little bit compared to some of the other guys. But I was not concerned because I was like, okay, he's fallen back into that fifth and sixth area where I wanted him to be anyway, so he could just pass them back at the end of a run.
Race them cleanly. Ryan said something about thought maybe he didn't have him cleaned off enough or something. It was kind of like the comment, and it actually that's what Tim said, and it actually didn't really have much to do with that, I guess. But at lap 83, passing the 77 to get to fourth. At lap 85 here, the 11 is the leader. P2 is the 5, behind 2 seconds behind the leader. So the 11 is gapping everybody with clean air. Ryan's P4, 3.271 back. Tim says we're starting to go the right direction again, which is usually like what they're saying later in a run. He'll be faster. Lap 100 here, about 4 seconds back of P1 here, but only 0.6 back of P3, which is a 24. And the 11 has a 3.3 second lead on the 5. The 19 is P5 at this point. So Ryan's the only guy in the top 5 that's not one of the championship guys. At lap 106, we get a caution for the 88, and the 99 has a right rear go down. And Ryan says they just kind of blew right by me. Johnson says we're going to pit probably a little longer run than the first run. So they figured this next run will be longer. Just to kind of let him know to pace the car a little bit, I think, and the tires. But if we have a late caution, we'll work on short run, he tells them. So we're pitting from P4, out P4 with a 9.940. Inside on the choose here, row 2, and restarting at lap 116. Sorts to P4, so it just kind of all equals out here, which is nice. And then lap 129, passing the 24 to get to third. Lap 135, 0.3 faster than the 11 and the 5 in front of him. He's about 3 seconds back of the 11 and about 0.8 back of the 5, who's in second. At lap 144, passing the 5 up to P2 and 2.58 back of the 11 at this point, and 0.2 faster than him too. And this is not in traffic. This is still all clean air. Lap 149 here, we get a caution for the 16. This is where it kind of gets, because it's breaking up these long runs. It's screwing things up. Because Ryan even says we're starting to flex our muscle there, because they were coming.
And I mentioned at the top of the recap, like if we could just get some long green flag runs, Ryan can win this race. And I mentioned I wasn't worried the last restart when he fell back a little bit, but now he's gaining those spots back again, and then this happens, and I'm like, man, I think the rest of the race is going to trend this way.
Yeah,
and he might not be able to win because of it, because he needs a decent amount of laps to get up to speed. Like Timmy told him at one time, I think he said 20, 30 laps is usually when we start coming around again. Yeah. And we kind of need that. And I was just like, I'm like, come on. It's like the one thing, can't these guys just keep it together? Can't they just put the right air pressures in these tires and get them last?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think the thing about it is the adjustment for one versus the other screws the other one up. And I think that's part of the problem, because here Johnson says we're going to try a little different here for a better takeoff, a little bit better takeoff. They're pitting from P2, out P2. It's a 10.10 stop. Nope, right on the money here. 11 on the inside, Ryan on the outside for this restart. And restart lap 156 here, gets to P2. The 24 is behind Ryan, kind of causing mayhem back there, trying to get around him. But it's not really working for him. At lap 165, only 1.186 back of first. He's right there on him. Lap 175, a lapper kind of gets in the way, and he's about 0.3 back of the 11. Now, like I said, he's racing very respectfully here, because he could have probably put his nose in a couple situations and made him loose and did what he needed to do to pass him. But unlike Ross Chastain, he wasn't going to be that guy. Doing those things. So,
and I did kind of want to say, I feel like the theme of this race and this weekend for Ryan is respect.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it on track. You saw it after the race was over. You saw it in interviews. The way he raced these guys, and in some cases in our Discord chat, people were frustrated
Mm-hmm.
because they could tell he's so much faster.
Yeah.
If he just a little bump, a little nudge, or even just taking a risk and driving in a little bit deeper. But I think he said after the race he didn't want to be the guy that messes up someone's championship.
Yeah. So let's see here. We get to lap 180 here. And he's trying different lines. You're watching the in-car camera, and he's trying it a little bit lower going into the turn, a little higher, looking for some clean air too. About 2/10 back at lap 183, we had a caution for the 10. And Ryan does comment that helped the fire off there. John says we're going to leave it there or meet in the middle. Lap 185 here, the 11 wins the stage. Ryan's P2. So pretty good 2 stages. And right there with everybody else. So Denny's left rear is flat and the diffuser's dragging. And Ryan's actually the one that calls me to attention to it, because we turned the sound down on the broadcast and we listen to the in-car, and Ryan's letting them know, and he's having an issue. And it was kind of interesting to watch as they were going to go to pit and so forth. Like, how slow can he go behind the pace car and not tear this thing up, in P2, out P1 with a 9.68 stop. And this is the thing about the 11 Jackman, because of the flat. And you clued us into it, like on texting me. They use 2 jacks.
Yeah, so it was really smart, actually. Mm-hmm. So they knew when they came in and the tire's flat, the clearances on these cars are so tight that they did the right side totally fine. Those tires were up. They come around the left side, and the Jackman actually has to wedge the first jack under there. He does like one pump, and the jack kind of falls back down, but he has that one kind of wedged in. Mm-hmm. So he grabs the second jack from behind and puts that one in, pumps it up. It lifts the car back up. So it does take a couple extra seconds to do that, but it gets the car up without guys trying to lift it or anything else crazy. And they plan that on purpose. And the rules say that you're only allowed to use 1 jack on a pit stop unless there's some sort of a failure or the car falls off the jack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a little bit of a loophole. He basically, I think, let it fall off the jack that first time.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped the second one in there. He had more clearance, was able to pump it up. So really, really smart on the 11's part. He did lose a bunch of track position because of it, but it could have been way, way worse. Way worse.
It was actually a well thought out, thing. And it, in the long run, it works out for them. So for this next choose here, restart on the inside at lap 193 here. The 24 and the 1 kind of go around on the outside. So we're P3 by lap 195. At lap 198, the 19 passes us too. So we're P4. At lap 206, we pass the 1 to get to P3. And the 24 is P1, the 19 is P2. But we're 1.416 back of the leader. So we're right in the ball game here at lap 210. They're still P3, 1.15 back, a 10th faster than both the guys in front of him. Lap 215 here, we get this flat tire on the 5. Ryan passes the 19 to get to second, and then the reason he passes the 19 is the 19 gets a flat tire on this sequence. So at lap 218, P2, 0.442 back of the 24. And the 11 is P4 at this point. And then at lap 219, a caution for the 77, which kind of saves the day for a couple of those guys. And Ryan says, we just can't protect enough. And Jonathan says, we're going to reverse whatever change it was. The 77 and 19 say that they think they ran over something. That's part of why they were having issues. They're pitting from P2, out P2. The 9 takes the lead on this pit stop. So it's kind of funny that we lose to a car that wasn't actually in front of us, but the car that was in front of us, we beat. So it's a 9.660 stop, and the 9 car had a 9.440. So they're about 0.2 faster. So the 9's P1, we're P2 here. The 24 now is P3. The 11's P4. The 19's back in 27th here. Jonathan says some guys may want to split this stage coming up, this next sequence. The 9 chooses the inside here, Ryan the outside. The 24 is behind the 9. The 11 is behind Ryan. Restart lap 226 here, sorts to P4. At lap 228, passes the 21 to get to third. And then the 11 passed the 21 also, so he's fourth. The 9 is still leading, and the 24 is P2. At lap, and it's kind of funny at this point. I kind of thought like the 9 would let the 24 by at some point and then just protect him for a while, like a little teammate action. But they really didn't. It was kind of weird. I thought they would have, but
maybe right at the very end he kind of let him go by, but he still kind of hung with him. And speaking of teammate stuff, I keep forgetting like Ryan wasn't in the championship 4, so he didn't really deserve maybe any leniency from his teammates, but the 21 raced him super hard all race long, especially in this sequence. And I'm like, come on, Josh, like just let him go. And I'm forgetting like
he's racing his own race.
The 21 was running really well too in this race. So he thought, he had a chance. And I keep forgetting, I'm like, gotta remember they're both just trying to race for a win here.
His own race. So lap 240, 1.417 back of the 9 in first, and only 0.3 back of second place 24. And then lap 243, the 11 passes us, so we're P4. And Ryan makes a comment about, I don't know what I did here. So he may have done something with, I don't know what. It could have been an adjustment he made inside the car. It could have been just the way he ran a certain corner, but he lost it just enough for one guy to get by him. The 48 has a flat tire. The 4 has a flat tire. They're both trying to make it to pit road. At lap 250, P4, only like a second back of first place. And Ryan is 1 to 2 tenths faster than the next 3 guys in front of him here. And lap 253 is when the 24 takes the lead. At lap 256, the 88 comes by on fresh tires. And that was kind of interesting too, because the 88 pitted off sequence, and he was trying to get a lap back, and he was coming. And at lap 258, we had a caution for the 2, and that was really out of the blue because the 2 wasn't running a bad race per se. He had some speed, and he just kind of like lost it, I guess, there and smashed the back end up pretty good, it looked like.
Pretty big hit. And honestly, I didn't want to see this caution happen because, as you mentioned, wasn't that far back of the lead. He was starting to come around. This is when the long run would kick in. I think we both mentioned like we'd like to see what it would have been like with just a green flag pit stop cycle. Let's see where they sort out, and then again try to build that gap at the end and win the race that way. But it very much does not go.
I think I texted you at one point. If it would have stayed green, I would have wanted to see them pit maybe one lap before everybody and get that 1 or 2 seconds advantage that they would have got by doing that, and just seeing where he played out at that point, because he was within a second or 2 to begin with, and then if he was faster on a longer run, and all of those things. But once again, none of them happened. Ryan and Jonathan talk about going back on the changes a little bit here. We get to Jonathan's going to leave it a little air, and don't want to get caught up on a short run here. So in P4, out P4. And it's the 24, the 9, the 11 off pit road in front of him. And Ryan was a 9.4 right there. And the 24 was a 9.40. The 9 was a 9.40. So, I mean, they were all right there with all the championship guys. 9 gets a penalty for speeding on pit road, though. Too fast. So now we're P3 for this restart. 24 on the inside, 11 on the outside. 21 is on the inside of Ryan, who takes the outside of row 2. Restart lap 266 here. 11 takes the lead. Ryan's P3. 24 and the 11 are door-to-door for a lap or 2. Lap 275 here, P3, about 1.2 back of the leader, the 11. All run about the same lap times here, but if it stays green till the end, I'd love to see what would happen. I put that kind of in parentheses there. And then we get this caution at lap 278 for the 44. Ryan says we're pretty decent there. Maybe a hair of turn for this run. John says okay. Pitting from third, out 6th. Now it was a 10.560 stop. But the 22 had like a 9.70. So I think that was the only guy they really lost to on the stop, because
compared to, which is lucky just because it's like these guys were on it all day long. And if there was anything that was a little bit of a hiccup, because they were in the 9
Yeah.
5, 9, 6s all day, and this is the first one that's really over 10. So
this is one of those things about how hopefully people can watch this show and listen to us a little bit, and we dive into this, and it sounds a little bit like a lot of detail, but the reality is it's one spot lost on a 10.560 stop, not 3. TV shows you he's 6th now, but what everybody doesn't realize is that the 19 and the 5 took 2 tires.
Yep.
They gambled on something right now to see how it would work and hoping they would work out for them. And, we lost 3 spots, yes, but only 1 spot was based on a pit stop time. It wasn't all 3.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, they were fantastic.
It wasn't a real bad thing. And like I said, the 22 had a 9.70 stop. So the 22 had one of its best stops on the day just to make that happen. Leaders the 19 here taking the bottom. Ryan is on the bottom of row 3, restarting at lap 284 here. The 11 gets to the lead, and Ryan sorts to P7 here. Lap 285, passes the 21 to get to 6th. At lap 289, passes the 19, one of those 2-tire guys, to get to 5th. At lap 290, passes the 5 to get to 4th. So there's the 2 guys with 2 tires, and we've passed them within, 5, 6, 7, 8 laps here, which kind of like maybe a preview for something to come for somebody else to make some decision later on. Maybe?
Well, I was going to say, but they actually did, the 5 especially. The 19, I think you just didn't have as good of a car as the others. But the 5 on that restart hung for a few laps before it faded. So, yeah, this is definitely like something that all the teams should have kept in their memory bank for if it comes up again later in the race.
Well, what's interesting about that is 1 or 2 of these teams that try this again later are also going to be on the same left tires they were on at this point. They never ever change the lefts, which is really kind of interesting. Lap 297 here, passing the 22 to get to 3rd. We're 2.77 back of the 11 and 0.6 back of the 24. So if we get past the 24, I think we can get there. At lap 305 here, 0.3 back of the 24, 3.3 back of the leader. Now, like I said about racing respectfully, here's a point in time where if this was during the regular season, he may have meddled with the 24, manipulated air, did what he needed to do to get by him. But he did a really good job of racing respectfully because this guy was racing for a championship.
Definitely thought it was over here because the 11 was pulling away a little bit. He could get to the 24's bumper multiple times. He was doing what he did earlier in the race where he's trying kind of like different lines because he doesn't want to move the guy. He doesn't want to dive in and risk, slipping up into the guy. And these are things that are important for maybe next year. And he knows he's been in this position, the last 2 years where he's kind of expected to be raced a certain way as well. So we can have whatever our feelings are about the driver of the 24. And people brought up like last week, and I'd say the scenario last week is different. Maybe I mean it is a little similar, but like it's still again Ryan's a different driver. I said the theme of the weekend ended up being respect. So I did not expect him to go in. In my mind, I'm like, come on, just a little nudge to get him out of the way. Let's see if we can make this happen. But at this point, I see the 11 out front. I'm like, this must be destiny. Ryan's not going to win this race today, but maybe it's finally Denny's day. And
then lap 308. Here's let me describe this scene here because 2 TVs, right? And I've taken pictures before. The bigger TV's up on top. The in-car camera is on the second TV down below. But to my left is my NASCAR app, wide open for the timing and scoring because, once again, the TV doesn't do a very good job of it. And the thing about the NASCAR app is it seems to be ahead by a lap or 2. So sometimes I see something over there that hasn't happened on the TV yet, and I'm anticipating it, which was the caution that comes up here. Ryan went to second place, and I'm like looking, and the 24 dropped. I'm like, what just happened? He blew a tire, and this changes everything. So we get the caution at lap 309 for all this. Right away, Jonathan's call is blue. And Ryan is 10-4, or copy, actually, is what he says, copy. And once again, for us, they change the code words all the time. They have to because so many people listening in anymore. I guess forerunner was the call for Denny. We went back and rewatched that a little bit ago just to hear what they did there. And that was from the crew chief. Denny had no decision making on any of that. But for Ryan, it's 2 tires, and he comes out first. And you're thinking, whoa.
Yeah. Wasn't it great? We mentioned the pit crew being so good, but this race, it's the first time in a long time where you saw that 12 car coming off a pit road first several times throughout a race. Love the call. We just a few minutes ago talked about the 5 and the 19 making a 2-tire call on a restart a little bit ago. Mentioned the 5 was able to hang. The next gen car. Track position is everything. So this isn't the truck race where Corey Heim was deep in the field and was able to make something happen on his four-tire call. Thought this was going to be a little bit different. I love the call. I immediately thought, okay, maybe it'll still be somebody else's destiny, but here's Ryan's chance to do it. On the flip side, what did we see on at least 2 of the restarts during this race? The 12 kind of gets swallowed up.
Right? Here's my one thing about it that gave me the most hope, and that was 3 cars stayed out. 3 cars took the ultimate gamble, and it almost worked for one of them. The 60, the 6, and the 48 stay out. It's in the order of actually 6, 60s, 48. And the 11 took 4, and he ended up way back here, but the 5 took 2. And I say way back there, he was only like 10th. He was the first guy on 4 tires. But Ryan's lining up 4th for this restart. And when they go through the choose, the 6 takes the outside, which was been the popular choose for the second half of the race. The 60's in front of Ryan, the 48 to Ryan's outside. Ryan takes the inside. And what to me was good and encouraging as well. We know we can go down to the dog leg and get down in there and get 4 or 5 wide if we need to. And how would 2 tires respond to the 4 tires? And truthfully, in these next 2 laps here, the first lap, 3 wide, and he kind of gets behind the 6 by 3 and 4. And I'm thinking, boy, the 6 is doing a good job of like maintaining this. And what ends up happening is they come off for the white flag lap. They're down the backstretch. Ryan is on the inside. The 6 is to his outside. The 5 is behind the 6 and knocking the crap out of him down the backstretch. The 6 gets clear. He goes low. And I would think, he's blocking Ryan's run here. Ryan is still flooring it. And for some reason, as they come out of 3 into 4, the 6 fades up the track. He went more sideways than he did forward at that point. And I don't know if it's just because he couldn't hold on to it or just the 4 tires were sliding.
He said he kind of dove it in there and was trying to block in his old tires is what he said. He just couldn't hold it.
Couldn't hold it. And
but still, I thought he Ryan still wasn't side by side yet. So I thought the 6 maybe still had a chance.
It was just like the parting of the Red Sea a little bit, except, just to the right of him, but he just fades off up to the right and Ryan just keeps going straight the shortest distance to the start finish line and gets there. And it really was by like 20 or 30 feet. It really wasn't by much.
It was like 0.9 or something like that.
Yeah, it was by enough to win. And
third closest finish, I think it said in Phoenix history.
Like so, yeah,
So you described it. Why don't we watch it? We do have the in-car camera. Why don't I pull that up?
Yeah, do it up.
Off the 6. 10, 5, ready. Green. Half out back, 22, stay line, cut distance now. Go middle if you need to. Watch bottom. Clear low, nothing in front of him. Still outside, 2 wide. 2 wide with 48. 3 wide bottom here. Coming to the white. 3 wide bottom, you're fine. Keep digging. 3 wide bottom, 5 on the top. 60 in the middle, 3 wide. 3 wide, hit your mark here. Coming to white, 3 wide bottom. Get it in there. Better tires, 1 outside you here. Better than them guys all day. 3 wide here, still there, door. Still there, 3 wide. Cut distance. You'll have the 5 at your right rear when you come up there. Outside 5 here. Outside clear. Outside 5. Use the 5. Clear behind him. Use the 5. The checker here. Drive it in there. You can do this. 22's out back. Good in the 5. Shooting the 6. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Baby. Good job, fellas. Way to stick with it. Thanks for a good year. Going to go out with the win, guys. Thank you.
Hell of a job there, driver. Hell of a job.
Hey, boss. Happy we could deliver for you, buddy. Thank you for everything.
Way to stick with it, buddy. Proud of you. Good job, team.
Yeah, man. Really good call at the end there. Good job.
So that was fantastic. I mentioned to you my favorite part was Timmy saying, "Drive it in there. You can do this.
You can do this. You
and
got
then
it.
Tim goes quiet because I think the 6 covers, and then I think Tim's like, I don't know, it can't be in his brain, but I think he thought, maybe he's not. But then you can hear he's quiet for like a little bit, but it's like you got it all the way to the line. So
Yeah.
that was awesome. So one other thing that happens here after the race. So people that have followed Ryan forever, he almost always, or every time pretty much in his Cup career, has given the checkered flag out to a kid in the stands. This win is just a little bit different in general. And you talked about at the top of the show, what he does is a little bit different after there. He respects the fact that the 5, which we have mentioned, the 5 wins the championship. He finishes 3rd. Denny isn't able to do it. And Ryan's mission here, and we'll play the audio, he wants to get back to the start-finish line to get the checkered flag. Tim, you mentioned earlier, Tim came on the radio and said, hey, they want you to come around and celebrate in the restart zone.
Yeah.
Ryan waits a little while, keeps driving, and then explains, that he has something else in mind. So let's play that here.
I got to get this checkered flag for Charlie. I promised Jonah I'd do it.
So,
Yeah, he's trying to, and he's trying to let NASCAR know, that's why I'm over here, not where champion might be celebrating or something, I got a confession. He was just telling that he actually owed me one.
yeah. So this is where he was supposed to celebrate, was right there in the restart zone, but he doesn't do a burnout. He's, got the flag, waving to the fans, and he comes around here to where the 5 is, and it acknowledges him, which is kind of cool. You see the smoke from the 5 burnout.
Yeah, he's doing a burnout on the backstretch. I guess that must have been right across from his pit box. So that was kind of cool. And all his guys could run over there and do that. I didn't watch that on TV because I'm watching the in-car camera. I don't know. Like when he comes up pit road, he shuts the motor off for 1 second. And you can hear, like I said earlier, you can hear him through the microphone going, where do I go? Because, there's 2 separate victory lanes. The victory lane for the champion is in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Or actually 3 and 4 there. I'm sorry, in front of the stands in 3 and 4, in between the track and pit lane, that big area there, and they're already set up for that. But he goes and has to find the actual victory lane for the winner. So it was kind of cool. He didn't even know where to go. he's like, where do I go? And then somebody points it out to him, and he gets back up there. And it's kind of cool with those in-car audio and in-car videos. They shut them off at some point. But it was really fun to watch them pull up to victory lane and then watch all the guys from the 12 team running from their pit box area over to victory lane to congratulate them. So it was really kind of cool. Guys like, Raymond, who was on with us on there. I don't know if we mentioned that, but Raymond actually jumped in the TikTok for a minute or two in the live, and it was so cool to see all those guys come and celebrate, with the team.
And again, back to the respect thing we mentioned. Ryan didn't do a burnout, just went and got the flag, waved to the fans, acknowledged the 5 with a little rev of the engine. He gets to victory lane. A lot of this takes a lot of time. So Ryan never actually gets interviewed while on the NBC portion of the broadcast. So NBC needed to dip out for football. People were kind of upset just in general, like, well, this race didn't go any longer than it normally would have, so they should have just started it a half hour earlier to give NASCAR a championship race, a championship event. I couldn't agree more. more time on the actual broadcast.
On the
They
actual
did
broadcast.
switch over to Peacock, so
Yeah.
you got to see that stuff there, including more interviews from the rest of the Championship 4, and then eventually Ryan in Victory Lane. What I will say, 2023, Ryan wins the championship. We couldn't care less about Ross Chastain, who won the race.
Right.
So, or what his victory celebration looked like, which they didn't really play other than kind of seeing the smoke, what his interview was like.
Mhm.
So I don't think it would have been fair for any of us to feel slighted by the
Right.
fact that Ryan wasn't, the main part of this, because this was the NASCAR Cup Series championship race. Yes, Ryan won it, but the 5 team kind of deserved their due for winning the championship.
If Chastain taught us anything, he taught us how not to act.
Yes.
That's the funny part, is like, you remember the sour grapes that he had, and then there was like a question or two in the post race with Ryan about it, and we talked about it, we laughed about it, whatever he said. That was Ryan being nice, but the reality is Chastain acted like such a fool. Like, sure, you won the race, but realize the moment that you're in, and realize that you are a representative of your sponsor, your team, and you could show everybody how to act and react. And instead he acted, like I said, he acted a little bit of a fool. And I was really glad that Ryan probably learned from that, how not to do that, obviously. And what he did by coming around there, and just like he skipped the whole restart zone thing, because I think they might have done an interview there if he'd have stopped there. I think they may have been set up for that, to maybe interview him real quick before they get set up over for the actual championship Victory Lane. So him driving by that kind of probably changed that whole thing, and it probably changed it where he ended up not being on national TV and ended up being on Peacock later on too. But like I said, I don't think he cared at that point. He just wanted to win, celebrate with the team, grab the flag for Charlie, and that's it. So kudos to him for recognizing the moment and situation, and not, like I said, not acting a fool. I want to keep bringing Chastain's name up, but he did act like a real, I don't know what else to call it. It was just very selfish in the moment that 2 years ago.
And while I know some of the Trackhouse social media folks, and I think that they're great folks over there, they were also a little bit salty on social with some of their social media posts after the race, and I think even the next day. So it was just a whole vibe from them at the time. And you mentioned the Charlie thing. We played the audio. If people haven't followed along, and I mentioned it. Normally Ryan gives the flag out to a young fan in the stands. Well, this time he promised Gianna, his wife, who's expecting their first son together, Charlie, that he would go get the flag for Charlie.
Yeah,
so,
Charley. I spelled it wrong. The TikTok I put on, I apologize to everybody, to Ryan and his wife. I apologize. I misspelled it. And it's funny, as I saw it when she posted that a couple of weeks ago. I guess they had some sort of a baby shower or something, and she posted the name. They had like a display with with Charlie on it. So congratulations to that. Then this next couple of weeks, it's so funny, the interview or two he did about that, talking about trying to keep a kid alive in the off-season
project. Yep.
Off-season project. That's pretty funny.
So another topic that has come up leading into this race, and then especially after this race with what happened with Denny Hamlin. Is it weird? I feel like we both, and I don't think you were here like a couple weeks ago, but feeling sympathy for Denny Hamlin, or in some cases, there was a lot of Blaney fans that said, I hope Ryan wins the race. I hope Denny Hamlin wins the championship. The guy was 3 laps.
Yeah.
20 years of trying. 3 laps away, finally. They brought the fastest car. They sat on the pole, dominated the race, led over 200 laps. 3 laps away from winning the championship. The 24 car loses a tire, hits the wall, caution comes out. And once again, like it was when Larson won his first championship, it's decided by a pit call, essentially, in a late green-white checker restart. So was this whole experience weird for you? Like, I'm not like necessarily a Denny Hamlin fan. I do enjoy listening to his podcast. I talked about it on last week's show when I said I hoped he would win the championship. The same scenario. I hope Ryan would win the race. Denny would win the championship. Was it weird, like feeling sympathy for the guy that isn't always someone that's maybe pro Blaney or pro NASCAR or anything like that?
found, and some reflecting and realizing that what it really was sympathy for his dad. A couple weeks ago, when he won the 60th, he clued everybody into something was going on with his dad's health by saying, "I'm glad my dad got to see my 60th." And then they did kind of like do an interview somewhere along the line before the weekend was up, where it kind of like talked about that. I hope he gets to see a championship, that kind of thing. So if you remember I think the first year of the documentary series that they had on Netflix, they did a good piece on his parents. As a matter of fact, his dad was talking about how he didn't like the way he talked to the crowd, and and then he had something about a cigar that they had, a victory cigar that they were going to light when his dad won. When his dad was going to light when they won a championship, and smoke with his son. So those kind of things is what kind of came into my mind. And part of the reason why maybe I've been rooting for him this past weekend was more about his dad and the relationship with his dad. And kind of like, it's something that everybody can, not everybody, but a lot of people can relate to, and especially when you hear the stories about what his parents did to keep him in racing and to get him to where he is today. So that was part of it. There were a couple of people I saw today who were talking about karma on certain things, because he's controversial, and he does kind of like rub people the wrong way sometimes, and he causes that. I tried to get a sports analogy together to think about it too. And one of the things I came up with was Dan Marino, of all things. Now, not that Dan Marino is a villain in any way. Dan Marino never turned heel or did any of those kind of things. But Dan Marino has had for the longest time all the passing records and won a ton of football games, but only went to the championship game, I think, once and lost it. But it never had another really good shot at it, even though they were win 10 or 11 or 12 games.
Early in his carear, too. It was like second year or something like that.
Second year or something like that, yeah. So that was the only other real sports thing. Some people brought up Mark Martin. Same thing with Mark winning a lot of races and so forth. So this really seemed like it was his chance. But then again, next year's another year. He has obviously done whatever it takes to be really good in this car. And Gibbs, it's not like Gibbs is going to fall off the face of the earth between now and next season. So next year, he obviously is hinting at running for a couple more years for sure. So, hopefully, he gets another chance. But it really came down to that for me. I think that was part of why I was feeling that way, had a lot to do with that relationship with his dad and hearing that and meeting his dad in that documentary. Because, like I said, if you go back and watch it, they did a couple minutes. They did a good 20 minutes with the family, with his dad and his mom. And you found out through interviews over the years about the types of things his family went through to get him there, So it's something that, you really hopefully doesn't happen in the next year. Maybe his dad gets another chance to see something next year, hopefully.
What do you think about, and Ryan actually mentioned this in his post-race, that he thought it was ironic that he won the race on a late race restart. I mentioned the stats from earlier.
Yeah.
He does not fall in the top 10 or even top 15 on restart positions gained on restarts. There's a couple during this race. He got swallowed up and sent back to 5th, 6th, or 7th. This case, he was in, some of it was a tire advantage. Some of it was skill. Some of it, I think, was just will to win. But he goes from 4th and then makes the pass in the last turn for the win over Brad Keselowski. What do you think about, him kind of turning the tables there? And I mentioned to you, I was like, man, has he won on a traditional oval like this, like in a green-white checker? Like, has that happened before? But it was sure exciting. But how about him turning the tables and actually, capitalizing?
Pulling it off, yeah. I thought it was wonderful. I think the scenarios worked in his favor a little bit too. I mean, looking at who took 2 tires and who took 0 tires, and where the 4-tire guy, because that's a lot of times on those restarts, it's a lot of what it has to do with is how many guys behind you are your cushion between what you've done and what's going to work, And the thing is he had a cushion in front of him to get around too. Those guys definitely made a hell of a call. 48 dropped out of there in a heartbeat. But the 6 really kind of held on for the 2 laps. I mean, he really did quite well. So, it was kind of what, obviously we wanted to see the win, period.
Yeah.
What was great about it is a lot of people were giving you this whole mindset about, last week, if they had done this and it would have been for this or that. Don't even think about that. What's most important is the mindset. The mindset was, okay, last week happened. We could just tuck our tails between our legs this last week of the season and nobody would pay attention and nobody would care. But guess what? They all came out this week and wanted to win the race. And I say they, I mean the whole team, Jonathan on down to all his guys. We're going to do this and we're going to win this one for once. We finished second here. How many years in a row? Let's go win one of these. And they put it in their mind that that's what they wanted to do, and they executed everything they could to do it. And that's great. That tells you everything you need to know about who we're following here. Because, like I said, after last week, you could have mailed this weekend, right? You could just be like, whatever. We're not in the championship for it, so who cares what we do? And they did not race that way, and they did not act that way, and they did everything they could to be where they were at the end of that race, and they executed. The team executed the pit stop. Ryan executed what he needed to do on the restart, and it was pure magic to get that fourth win in a season. Now it's another career high. Maybe next year 5, 6.
Yep. Yeah, great stuff. And I love there was an interview that Jonathan had done ahead of the race where he told a reporter that they were asking kind of what their mindset was, what their goal was going to be for the weekend. Does this open it up for them to experiment a little bit? And he said, yeah, we're going to try some things. We can experiment. And I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, but it'd also be great to go out there and, kind of dominate and win the race.
Mm-hmm.
And I agreed with that. And, Ryan won his championship in 2023. We already mentioned it. Ross Chastain won the race. So the tables turned again. Ryan wasn't in the championship 4, but he goes out, had a really dominant car that maybe didn't show up for a lot of people on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
I think TV, at least Jeff Burton, one time they went to Ryan and said, he's super fast. He was good in practice. He's somebody to watch. But it was just those series of cautions that just kept coming out that kept kind of thwarting their effort to get back to the lead and dominate the rest of the race. So, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. We were both at Martinsville. We were both came out of Martinsville still pretty optimistic, just really happy with their performance. Because, again, that's actually 2 weeks in a row where the team top to bottom. I mean, pit stops are really important at Martinsville and also really important at Phoenix. So 2 weeks back to back where the team executed top to bottom, and the driver executed as well. And this week he got it done under some pretty crazy circumstances. Green, white checker finish, passing. Finally, he's the one that makes the pass on the last lap for the win this time. So great to see. Kyle Larson, obviously we mentioned it, goes on to win his second NASCAR Cup Series championship. Some notable things with that.
We got to be the only podcast in America, the only NASCAR podcast in America tonight that didn't talk about the champion of the series until an hour.
We flipped the script too. We're turning tables. So Larson wins the championship. Some funny things to note: did not lead a lap in the race. First Cup Series champion in this format to not lead a lap in the championship race. He's finished the furthest in the field now for a Cup Series champion, finishing third because Ryan finished second when he won his and he didn't win the race. So Larson's the champion. Denny Hamlin ends up second on the year in points. Briscoe third. Byron fourth. Christopher Bell ended up in fifth, and Ryan ended up sixth. Ryan came into the race technically seventh in points. He really mathematically was really only going to be able to get to six, and he had to jump teammate Joey Logano to do that, and he did that with the victory. So on the season, Ryan ends up on paper 6th overall in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings.
Hey, did you see who finished fifth, by the way, in the race?
I did not.
Kyle Busch finished top 5.
Oh, that's right. First top 5 in like months.
Yeah.
For him.
How about that? 2 tires worked for him.
Maybe a little momentum that he and his new crew chief need going into the offseason. So we can do a little quick. We're not going to do a whole season recap as we've done in the past, but I do have some fun Ryan Blaney 2025 season by the numbers. And we can kind of go through that. And if you have any thoughts as we go through, you can interject, but I'll just kind of read through them. Average start for the 12 team in 2025 was 14.1. Average finish was 14.6. Definitely not a career high. And when it comes to that, he had some seasons where he was in the 13s for average finish. But what impacts the average finish this year was 8 DNFs. He had 7 DNFs in the regular season, and he added an 8th at Las Vegas in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of crazy, though, to have that many DNFs and still have a relatively decent average finish on the year. Pole awards, earned 2 poles in 2025 at Atlanta and Watkins Glen, another pole on a road course to go
road course.
Pole. And then Daytona in the summer, he was awarded a pole by the metrics.
That was your fault, right?
Bring the rain. I brought the rain.
You brought the rain.
Speaking of that, no race across all 3 NASCAR national divisions was impacted by rain in 2025 when it comes to like a postponement.
Oh, wow.
There may have been little rain delays and stuff in the midst of races, but no race was actually picked up and moved to another day. And I'd like to point out, we were at 9 different race weekends. One of them was Daytona, where we saw qualifying get rained out, but that actually helped the 12, and it gave him the pole in a race that he went on to win. So kudos to Mother Nature for a great 2025. Let's keep that up in 2026. Victories, you mentioned it. 4 wins on the season for this 12 team, a new career high for Ryan Blaney, as he brought his total points paying wins in the Cup Series to 17. He also has that 1 win in the All-Star race that doesn't count for that total. But 4 wins, first time ever. He won at Nashville. He won the Daytona Summer Race. He won New Hampshire in the playoffs, and he won Phoenix in the playoffs, though not in the championship 4. So kudos to him. We were a goal for the weekend. A lot of fans talked about it was, okay, what can they do? They can go out and win the race, and more importantly, he kind of breaks that barrier. Last few seasons, he's won 3 wins. In those last few seasons. This is the first time he's gotten to 4. Top 5s, he got 15. That's a new career high. Top 10s was 19, and that was 1 short of matching his career high of 20 that he did a few years ago. Laps led 852, and that was a new career high. And I actually think it was about 4th or 5th on the season when it comes to all drivers. So that's the basic stats here. Here's what I like to call 2025 Cup Series superlatives for Ryan Blaney. And that's when you're comparing him across all of the drivers in the Cup Series that have made starts this year. And Ryan doesn't, even in the championship year, that was one of the things people brought up. He didn't lead any categories during his championship year, though he was up pretty high. He's in several categories in 2025. Again, a team that had 8 DNFs. Keep that in mind. Mentioned it a little bit ago. 15 top 5s this year that led the series in a tie with Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe. Led laps in a series leading 23 races in 2025. Holds that record to his own this year. Scored the most points in a race 7 times. He's a tie for first in that with Kyle Larson. Best speed rating in the Cup Series, which we knew. Best passer rating in the Cup Series, we also knew. Passer rating may be inflated a little bit by the fact that they have a 14.1 average start on the year. And one other interesting thing I heard on some shows, podcasts that have already been out, and people talking about Ryan being respectful and Ryan leading passing statistics, and they may have even brought it up on the broadcast. Maybe Ryan gets through the field so easily because he's respectful. And some guys will, give him a break when he's passing too. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So how about that? Some career highs for the 12 team in 2025, led some statistical categories across the Cup Series in 2025. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it was, there were so many different things you always pull stats out that, but somebody on our Discord chat actually pulled up the Kevin Harvick thing too, the comparison at this age, at this many races and so forth. And, it's interesting. Some guys fall off at a certain point, but I think Ryan is still climbing. I think there's a lot more potential there. Contrary to Jordan Bianchi and what he thinks about Team Penske, I think there's one guy at Team Penske that's far above everybody else. And I think week after week he shows that. So, my wife said it last night after the race. She says she can't wait for the Daytona 500 this year. She thinks he's going to win one. This is it. This is the year he wins it, 2026, Daytona 500. Let's get there.
I would be absolutely okay with that. Okay. One last thing to wrap up, Steve, when it comes to the championship weekend at Phoenix, and that is the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. We're going to crown our champion tonight on the podcast. But let's take a look at what our starting lineup was for this final race. I still had some good ones left. I had Ryan Blaney in my lineup. Got the most points on the weekend. He was first overall, got me 58 points. Chase Elliott got me 28 points. Chase Briscoe got me 24 points. Joey Logano got me 39 points. And Christopher Bell got me 32. And I had Ross Chastain in the garage, and he had 29. So I could have swapped Elliott out for Chastain and got one more point. That's okay. Denny Hamlin was in my featured matchups. I picked him over Briscoe. That was right. I picked Larson over Byron. That was right. I picked Chastain over Logano. That was wrong. And I picked Blaney over Bell, and that was right. I ended up with 211 points on the weekend, 38th overall.
Do I have to talk about mine?
You had things did not go well for you.
Yeah, I ran out of championship guys. I only had Briscoe to use. So I tried to throw a couple guys in I knew that would be well. I was out of Ryan's usage. That would have been somebody I would definitely had in there. I used Logano thinking he'd be good. I had Reddick, Briscoe, Chase Elliott, Chastain, Bubba Wallace, and then Bubba had his issues early on, so I hurried up and made sure he wasn't in the lineup. And then I had, I had Briscoe over Hamlin, which was not right. I had Byron over Larson, which was not right. I had Chastain over Logano, which was not right. I had Ryan over Bell. So I only got one matchup right. I didn't have a lot of points from all those guys. Ended up finishing, pretty deep in the field. So I kind of bled the last weekend of the season, but still ended up pretty good on the year for the most part.
And you did. So let's take a look at the top 10 in points earned throughout the entire 36 race season this year. Mez 12 finished 10th overall. That's your team, 6,844 points. 9th was Penske Fan 24, 6,870. Go Larson was in 8th, 6,875. Blaney Kicks Beep is in 7th, 6,975. Pit Stop Pro was in 6th, 6,987. Dr. Race Chaser was in 5th, 6,989. Former champ Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing comes home 4th, 6,996. Vans 12 was in 3rd, 7,015 points. Go 12 Go was in 2nd, 7,025 points. And our leader and our winner by more than 100 points, Alyssa C., 7,127 points.
All right.
Little golf clap for Alyssa C. Alyssa C., if you are a listener to the Team Blaney podcast, please reach out to us, DM us on our social media channels. We would love to get you a little token of our appreciation for winning the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League overall standings for 2025.
I won Stellanarius' league.
Congratulations.
I did win a league, so I survived that league. I didn't have.
And I did. So it's been pointed out to me. I jumped the gun. I skipped over the Phoenix results.
The top 10 from Phoenix.
So we'll run through that real quick. Top 10 from Phoenix. Steel Lion was in 10th, 239 points. Stellanarius and Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing tied for 8th, 241 points. Al 12 Fan was in 7th, 245 points. Joe Lopez 1 was in 6th, 246 points. Jordan Daniels was in 5th, 249 points. The Crafton Truck Series was in 4th, 251 points. The Buckeye Bullet and RPM 1981 tied for 2nd, 256 points. And the reason why I was reminded, and who reminded me, was the winner on the weekend at Phoenix, and that is our friend Chelsea Megan 1912. Team Blaney contributor, thank you. 258 points, wins the final race in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League on the season. So congrats to Chelsea Megan on the weekend victory. Again, congrats to Alyssa C. on the overall championship.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, that wraps up our at least our race recaps for the 2025 season. How you feeling?
I don't know what to do next weekend. I mean, I do watch NFL football, and there'll be some college football and so forth, and but I don't know what else to do. Sunday's going to be strange. don't know what. Maybe I'll take notes of a football game. I don't know what to do. I really don't know.
That's true.
And my notebook.
Yeah.
My notebook.
You're gonna have a notebook on the couch, and you're just gonna start writing like
notes about something. Maybe go to Ollie's and see if we can get another one of these. Speaking of this, I'm doing this for the.
Oh no!
Did you see it?
Oh, he's opening it.
You get my car over there.
This is why folks need to tune into the video version of the podcast so you can see things like this, like guys opening their 164 diecast, taking them out of the package.
That's right. You know why? So you go zoom, 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 zoom. Well, that was for Jordan Daniels right there.
Well, truly, Steve, thank you again for another really solid and exciting, action-packed 2025. I rely on you every week for your skills at taking notes and giving everybody all the kind of inside information, listening to the radio. I mentioned in our a preview post for the show tonight, like, listen to the Team Blaney podcast. You're going to find all the details that TV missed while they were deservedly focusing on the championship 4. So we got to hear about pit stops. You got to hear about strategy. You got to hear about passing and who did what and why they did what they did. And that's kind of what we're here for week to week.
I want to thank everybody at Penske and the 12 team, Team 12. Jonathan on down, those guys don't even realize, and we've done interviews and we're trying to let people know, but they have been so much behind the scenes of helping us a little bit here, a little bit there, give us an interview. And we got to interview Jonathan and Tim during the playoffs this year, and how exciting was that to hear their, insight into the things that happened to help Ryan win. So, all those guys back at the shop, those who do listen to the podcast, and we know that some of them do, thank you guys for everything you do week to week and day to day to get the 12 on track and to have, Ryan have a piece like he was able to use this weekend. I want to thank all those guys because it means a lot to have that kind of motivation behind, telling the whole story. Like what we do every week is definitely that. We definitely tell the whole story. We're not telling you just about, the race, the whole race. We're telling you about the whole race for the 12 and kind of giving you, like you said, that insight into certain things that you might not have known otherwise. And I'm glad we're able to do that. Thanks to those guys.
And thanks to Ryan Blaney himself, who came on the podcast multiple times in 2025 after wins and beyond. Thanks to, his team. Thanks to Justin
Burrows.
For
setting that stuff up for us. Justin's his PR guy and his manager, and Justin makes sure that we get him once and twice a year, and that's awesome that they consider us part of that family that they want to talk to. I'm glad they feel that way.
Thanks to all the fans of Ryan Blaney that follow us, that participate in our Discord chat. We hit some milestones when it came to social media this year. We just crossed over and we are nearing 23,000 followers on Facebook. And with the win and all the publicity from this weekend, we just crossed over and are solidly within over 8,000 followers on Twitter or X. So we're doing really well there. I think this is probably the 4th year in a row where I'm saying, this off season, I think we're really going to focus on Instagram. So maybe this is finally the year.
I try to post some things there once in a while. I'm sorry if I don't do enough of it, but I try to at least post some stories there. What I should do is I'll take tonight's video, the video for a thing. I could probably post it there tomorrow even.
And with our new for 2025 was these live recordings of the podcast where we brought video into things. Prior to this, we used to only do our interviews on video and post that. So our YouTube channel has grown a lot in 2025. I'll plug it again. We've interviewed every single member of the Over the Wall pit crew. We've interviewed several members of the road crew. Ryan himself multiple times. Go all the way back to the very first interview with Ryan where we tell his whole basically Blaney racing story, how he grew up in racing, stuff with his dad and his uncle and beyond. You can find all of those on the Team Blaney YouTube channel. Really encourage you to go check those out because you'll learn a lot about all those pit crew guys, about the engineers, about the crew chief. There's a lot of really good stuff on there.
Chelsea and Justin Hughes behind the scenes, and sometimes we'll do like a TikTok live or two where they'll be on with us like a Wednesday or something like that, commenting, but they're always watching for us. They're always behind the scenes getting video and pictures like people don't believe. I think the video that you posted was from Justin Victory Lane. And Jerry Mariotti, same thing. Jerry goes to the tracks and gets some pictures and videos of things. He goes to some of the stuff at Sharon Speedway for us, especially this past year or two, some pictures and videos of Dale. So, thanks to the Mariottis, thanks to the Hugheses for kind of like being behind the scenes and doing those things for us too. I mean, it's really, really kind of cool that everybody comes together and kind of helps us push some cool stuff out for people to see.
Yeah, thanks to our wives, Tara and Kate, who are always, in every weekend, dealing with us, helping us along the way, joining us on the race weekends at the track. Kate filling in as co-host on the show for the multiple times a year when I'm out.
No offense to you, but I love those shows.
Yeah, those Team Mez takeover shows are fun.
Yeah.
For the 5th straight year, Steve is the only one that has been on every single episode of the 211 now episode of the Team Blaney podcast, including for the first time a couple weeks ago, you took it on as a solo act.
Solo, boy, that was crazy. It turned out all right though. I think I did okay. I didn't stumble too much, so.
But yeah. So this might not be it for 2025. It definitely was our last race recap episode of the season. Yeah. How fantastic was it for us to be able to, for the first time, our last race recap was a recap of a Ryan Blaney victory. I thought that was very fitting.
4 W's in one season.
And exciting. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of the Team Blaney podcast during the week and on race day in 2026. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search for Team Blaney. We'd also like to encourage you to support the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Ryan's official charitable organization benefits brain health causes like UPMC Sports Medicine and the Alzheimer's Association. To learn more, visit RyanBlaneyFamilyFoundation.org or follow them on Facebook, X, and Instagram. So for my co-host Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time right here on the Team Blaney podcast.
Good night, North Ridgeville. Check out the TikTok.